Now we are moving to section 2. Look at all questions are compulsory. Total marks for section 2 is 40 marks. That means 10 marks for each question. There are 4 questions here and recommended time is 72 minutes. Right, this section generally there will be a 10 marks question from cost management section, which is 20% syllabus weightage is given. Generally either ABC, either throughput accounting, that concept will be regularly being tested. Right, we will read this one. Prior to that, look at what they asked to do. Required, assess the validity of the comment raised by the marketing manager together with the drawbacks of present product costing system at NPT. Right. Explain the activity based costing system and how it would benefit NPT. Right. Okay, we will see. Neotech Private Limited was established 20 years ago and produced electric cleaning equipment. The company currently manufactures 3 types of cordless domestic electric cleaners. Okay, they are producing electric cleaners. There are 3 types of cleaners now they are producing. Raw materials and components are purchased from a range of suppliers with whom NPT has built close relationships over the years. That is the story. The company operates from a single manufacturing site in Colombo. Unlike in the past, NPT currently relies on highly automated processes and machines. That is very critical. That is very important. In the modern manufacturing environment concept, it has been considered. Currently relies on highly automated processes and machines. Highly automated. Right. That means labor involvement will be very less. Right. NPT at present accounts for production overhead cost according to the absorption costing approach. Now they are using absorption costing approach based on labor utilization. Absorption rate is labor utilization. The following cost information is extracted from the budget prepared for the forthcoming financial year. When entity operation is highly automated, then labor utilization will be much higher. Will there be labor involvement? It should be lower. Right, we will see. There are 3 types: cleaner type 1, cleaner type 3 and cleaner type 2 and 3. Material cost per unit given, labor per unit 200, 300 and 400. Variable overhead per unit 300, 500 and 600. Production overhead cost per unit based on labor utilization 1500, 2250, 3000. While looking at this information, labor is insignificant. Labor is insignificant. Look at about the composition. Variable overhead also greater than this labor cost. Right. Then production overhead cost. Look at this amount. What is the price? What is the amount? Therefore, when you are being highly automated, this may not be suitable. Right. Okay. Total cost per unit 5000. Out of 5000 labor, only 200. Then 200 divided by 5000, only 4% labor represent in the total production cost. Here 3000 divided by 8000, 3.75%. Then 400 divided by 10,000 is 4%. Then labor involvement for this particular product is lower. Right. The selling price determined by adding 60% of profit markup. You will add 5000 at 60% profit markup. 5000 into 60%, 3000 profit markup, then it is 8000. Right. Profit markup upon the full unit cost. The final budget review meeting was held recently and the following comment was made by the marketing manager. Statement. Look at this one. Our prices are not consistent with the prices of competitive products in the market. Our product, because it is not competitive. When competitors are selling at higher prices, we are selling similar product at lower prices and vice versa. That means when our prices are, which competitors are selling at a lower price, we are selling at a higher price. Definitely, we will lose our market. We will experience some bad performances, right. You are the management accountant at NPT, you are required to analyze the product costing system at the company and report to the management. Okay. Assess the validity of the comment raised by the marketing manager together with the drawbacks of the present product costing system. Okay. First one, this particular company labor involvement is very low and it is insignificant. You have used direct labor as the basis for absorption, but it is a single basis. The overhead will be different activities might have generated overhead. Therefore, the utilization of those resources will be different from each product, but we will use uniform basis to allocate overhead. On the other hand, it says uniformly we are applying 60% profit markup, 60% profit markup. But product to product it will be different, because market may not willing to pay 60%, some product they will can charge 60%, some are not. Therefore, in this situation 60% uniform markup may not look at about the market perception, with what is the optimum price which customers are willing to pay. We have to decide the markup based on the customer's willingness or optimal pricing to be determined, right. If you allocate of overhead cost based on labor hours, product pricing, product costing will be misleaded, it will be inaccurate, it will further lead to inaccurate pricing decisions. That is the most critical thing. Therefore, you can agree with the statement made by marketing manager, right. Therefore, current absorption method, okay, we can go to the suggested solution. Current absorption method only consider, okay, look at current absorption method only consider, it is a single absorption basis. Here it says the overhead cost of NPT per value form a main component of production cost. Thereby, product cost in the component of labor cost is very minimal in the all three products. Therefore, it is not suitable, because overhead cost is the main component of the product cost, one of main component. Labor is not. Then if labor is utilization is minimal, it is not the suitable basis to absorb, and you can't use a single basis to absorb the overhead. You have to use what are the activities which generate those overhead. Based on that activity consumption, you have to allocate the cost, and it is a 60% markup without making sure that product cost is correct. Therefore, 60% markup will distort the pricing. Therefore, that you have to agree with the statement made by the marketing manager, right. Explain the activity based costing system. Activity based costing system mean there are a few steps. First, you will identify the activities which generate overhead. Then you will gather cost drivers of each activity. Then allocate the cost to the product based on those activity or cost driver volume of cost drivers consumed by each product. Then proper allocation of cost will be there, right. We will see the suggested answer. ABC is a costing method that assigns overhead and indirect cost to related product and services. This accounting method of costing recognizes the relationship between cost, overhead activities and manufactured product, and assign indirect cost to product less arbitrarily than traditional costing system, not arbitrary allocation. You will allocate the cost based on the resource consumption. In the case of NPT, the total overhead cost should be divided into cost pools based on different activities. You have to allocate these costs based on different activities. Each cost pool should have one or more cost drivers, and most appropriate driver should be selected to absorb cost to the each product. That means if you assume machine running cost, suitable cost driver is machine hours. Then based on machine hour consumption, machine related cost you have to allocate. That is the best way to do it. All costs should be attributed to the identified cost pool based on the pre-identified cost drivers and cost per cost driver should then be computed. Then the process identifies the utilization of cost drivers by each product, and the cost for each product is computed based on the utilization of cost drivers. I will say production running cost or setup cost, that is setup is activity. Then based on number of setups taken, you can allocate the setup cost to the each product or service, right. Therefore, arbitrary allocation will be eliminated, product costing will be accurate, that is the benefit, right. Proper pricing decision can be made and overpricing and underpricing won't happen, right. That you can decide a very competitive pricing, that is the benefit of activity based costing. ABC provides a more accurate method of product service costing, leading to more accurate pricing decisions. That's correct. Number 2, if you know step by step or activity by activity the cost driver, volume and related cost, you can identify what are non-value added activities available. Because in traditional absorption costing, you can put all the cost into one pool and allocate using a common basis. There is no cost control. But activity based costing, you can see, because it split activity cost into an activity drivers or cost drivers, and you will identify major activities. Then out of those activities you can screen and identify there may be some activities which are non-value adding, value addition and නැති. If those are non-value adding, you can remove those non-value added activities and you can optimize your operational cost. Then your decisions will be more effective rather than absorption costing. Clear? That is the benefit of activity based costing. In this illustration, just explanation. You might have identified, you might have done the computation, but here it is not required. What is the required? You have to explain what is the meaning of ABC. You have to have an idea about how are you going to explain ABC and how activity based costing helped you to improve the performance. Therefore, it is essential to have an idea about how differentiate traditional absorption costing system and activity based costing system. That is question number 2. Okay, now we will move to question number 3. It is very simple one because we need not to explain any, need not to compute anything in this illustration. All to both question they ask the explanation, because look at this one. Assess the validity of the comment. Now the pricing decision are not competitive. What is the reason? Traditional absorption cost, weakness of traditional absorption cost you need to explain, because they have used a common basis to absorb the overhead cost, right. Okay, now we will move to the third question. This is relating to budgeting, right. Okay, we will read this illustration. Prior to that, look at the requirement. Discuss 2 advantages and 2 challenges of adopting the zero-based budgeting system at CFL. What are the advantages and disadvantages of adopting zero-based budgeting? Right. Then explain the approach to prepare a zero-based budget for the procurement division at CFL using 3-step approach. Okay, we'll read first and then we will see how are we going to approach this particular illustration, right. Comfort Fashion CFL is a clothing company. Its head office is situated in Colombo City with 4 branches located in few main cities. Colombo is the head office and other 4 branches located in other different cities. CFL's business involves purchasing finished clothes from registered garment factories and selling them through its business location. They will, from the garment factories, they will purchase and from their retail outlet, they will sell it. Okay. Each branch performs its own purchases independently. Branch can decide at which price you are going to purchase, at which price they are going to sell. They are independent in purchasing, right. Consumer buying behavior is rapidly changing in the industry, and online shopping has become the current trend. Okay, now market trend has changed. Consumers are now directly purchasing through online virtual platforms. Now physical stores, now customers are not much attending to the physical stores. Okay. Therefore, CFL decided to expand its sales by selling online as well. Now you have an option, you are selling through online and you have the physical shops. Even supermarket also you have seen, they are selling physically and they have opened their outlets and they are deliver and sell through online virtual selling. Okay. This expansion will significantly reduce the number of customers visiting the branches, and therefore CFL's plan is to close down a few branches. If it is become more popular, consumers or customers will directly purchase from online platforms and their physical attendance is very minimal. Then they decided to, okay, running a physical branch is not cost effective, then they are going to reduce the branches, okay, close down few branches. A web page that includes fashion item together with all their details is being developed to facilitate online purchasing. To improve efficiency, it is expected that updating of the web page will be done by the procurement division based on the items ordered, and this will create additional tasks to the procurement division. Now procurement division, when they purchase, they have to update the page and they have to now these days I also seen, because I am not much experiencing, but nowadays you can do some selection. Now generally ladies are doing this one, they will go through the web pages and Facebook pages about those different textile shops, and they can see the fashion new arrivals, fashion design, and prices also there. They can check the availability and they can order, right. Therefore, it is a kind of, now this is a recent development with the virtual platforms. CFL has been following the incremental budgeting system. Incremental budgeting, what is incremental budgeting? You will add some percentage to the last year figure. The weaknesses in last year will continue in next year as well, right. Given below is the summary of the procurement budget for the month of August 2022. Procurement, 10 million is the budget. Breakdown of cost items, activities. Purchase of finished clothes, transportation from supplier place to warehouses, salaries paid to the procurement staff at branch location and other overheads. Mainly if you look at about this one, purchasing, transportation and salary or staff's cost, those are main three items, right. Expenses linked to the expansion have created pressure to allocate money for investment needs. Okay. CFL is now considering adopting the zero-based budgeting system from the next budgeting period. By adopting ZBB, the company is expecting to take a more detailed look at its expenses and cut cost to the maximum possible level. And even though they have been allocated 10 million, now they have to decide how they are going to reduce the cost. In zero-based budgeting, what will happen? You have to justify the expenses, right. You have to justify the expenses. These are the expenses to be incurred. This is the reason why we need to include this expense. Likewise, you have to justify whatever the expense you are incurring, that we will call zero-based budgeting, right. Okay. First one, what they asked to do, what are the benefits, advantages and challenges of accepting this zero-based budgeting? In zero-based budgeting mean you have to rationalize and justify the expenses before you include into the budget. As an example, even these activities, then 10 million, purchase of finished clothes, transportation and salaries, you have to justify before including into the budget. Therefore, they discuss two advantages and two challenges. Advantages, innovation will be encouraged because you will not carry out the previous sins, previous deficiencies you won't carry out. It will be done at a fresh moment, fresh budget. You have to justify in all the ways, and inefficiencies will be eliminated, efficiencies will be increased, and innovation will be there, new innovation, and it will be motivate employees. They can justify their expenses, and cost reduction can be done. Okay, we will see the answer. Advantages. ZBB is computed based on the current period operation and budgeted items instead of assuming the previous period resource allocation as a suitable base. We will don't think about past. We will consider current year. Based on the current year requirement, we will allocate the resources. Okay. This approach allows to re-evaluate CFL's operation requirements in every budget period. Each period we have to assess whether do we require to invest in this activity. Is it this a value adding activity? Each year you will evaluate your operations, right. Remove inefficient and obsolete operations, that is the benefit. CFL operations changed online operation, not like physically. Now in the operational structural changes has happened. Last year incremental budgeting is not required, no. Now rent expenses earlier you have paid, now you need not to pay the rent expenses. Why you need to budget rent? Entire business process had changed. Then look at this one. CFL operation now changed to online operation. This change need resource allocation in a new and additional operational activities. ZBB item from zero base will allow to reduce unwanted expenditure, result in cost savings, and reallocate resources into new operational requirement. Okay. Previously, if you have allocated some staff for different physical location, now you can take back those staff, or you can redundant them, or you can take them into the procurement division or online platform for further development, because they have an additional task, right. CFL business environment is not the same in the previous year. There have been changes in competition, supplier, procurement method, etc. ZBB helps to CL to respond to changes in business environment. You can easily manage the changes, you can easily respond to the changes. That is an advantage. Next one, participation of all managers. If all managers being participated, they will be motivated. Motivation and innovation will be encouraged. Okay, and ZBB encouraged to understand the efficiencies and inefficiencies. What are the disadvantages? Each year you are going to do it fresh, a fresh budget, and justification, it will consume more time, manager's time. If you don't have sufficient skill, you can't carry out it, right. Then if you are doing a routine business, then zero based budgeting may not be required. See, routine thing, same activity will be doing it repeatedly, then zero based budgeting will be not required, or those are the challenges. CFL staff may not have a necessary skill to carry out ZBB. That will be the problem, because currently what they will do, addition or percentage may change to the last year figures. That will be a problem or challenge. Considering the size of CFL operation, the complexity involved when following the online business model, ZBB may require various activities and decisions. The amount of paperwork will be significant. It will be time consuming, and there might be so many paperwork to complete this task. That is the challenge. And great amount of information and analysis, and current information system may not be capable. You have to justify this activity is required, and you have to break down it. So many additional information may require rather than earlier. Sometimes current ZBB, current system may not provide sufficient information. That is the challenge. The last one, certain expenses may not be able to justify it under ZBB approach. CFL is just entering the online business model, and hence its experience and data about expenses such as advertising cost, distribution cost and IT cost would be very minimal or inefficient to make optimal resource allocation. That are the areas which you need to look at. Those are the challenges we can highlight, right. Then those advantages and disadvantages you have to, or challenges you have to explain. Explain the approach to prepare zero-based budgeting for the procurement division at CFL using the three-step approach. There are three-step approach in zero-based budgeting. First one, you have to define the decision packages, or you have to identify the alternatives, right. Second step, you have to evaluate them, what are the most critical activities, and rank them. You have to evaluate the criticality, most important activities and rank them. Third activity, allocate the resources based on ranking. Now assume there are in procurement division there are activities, purchase of finished clothes an activity, transportation activity, staff and other overhead in third activity, activity tonight, right. Now you have to look at those are the decision packages. Out of those three, which activities are most critical activities? You have to evaluate and rank them. Based on ranking, you have to allocate the resources. That's how zero-based budgeting will apply. Okay, we'll see. Okay, now you can see three-step approach for the procurement budget. Define the decision packages. Identify what areas you need to evaluate. The first step is to create decision unit at which the budget decisions are made. Now you are going to allocate 10 million, you have to see what are the decision packages, so what are the main activities it involves. Look at this one, the managers of the decision units, in this case the procurement manager, should prepare a detailed description and evaluation of the activities performed, including alternatives to current service delivery method and spending plans necessary to achieve the decision unit's goal. But there is no upper limit for the number of decision packages, but it is better to have at least 3 packages for all crucial activities. All crucial activities, we will see. Look at mutual exclusive packages that contains alternative methods to getting the same pay job done are created. These packages consider the most fundamental service needs of the procurement unit. Potentially mutually exclusive packages for the procurement function could be the following. Okay, there are 3 activities or 3 decision packages. First activity is for purchase of clothing. Second activity for the transport of purchase item. Third one, the staff cost, right. Those 3 are the decision packages. Look at, for the purchase of clothing, you have to evaluate purchase of clothing item from the registered garment factories, that you have to do. Design its own fashion items and outsource the sewing process only. You can see whether we are going to purchase from garment factory or whether we have own design and we will manufacture. Build a sewing unit and make a cloth internally. You have to see out of those 3 options, which one is suitable. You have to allocate, or going to purchase and sell, or you can manufacture your own or not. You can evaluate. Second one, transportation of purchase item. Once you purchase from the supplier warehouse and transport CFL warehouse by its own transport service, whether you are going to use own transport service, you can see what is the commitment from the supplier to deliver the goods at a lower cost. Then you can see you are trying to reduce the cost option. Supplier commitment is obtained to ship item to CFL warehouse. Sometime whether you will purchase material and you will distribute through your own transport might be costly than you can pay additional sum to the supplier, they will deliver to your doorstep. it will be more cost effective, then it will be more easy. You can evaluate. Transport service is obtained from an outside provider. You don't need to maintain a vehicle fleet. You can see any options to minimize the cost. Consider direct shipping of item for online orders from the supplier's location. Direct shipping. You can evaluate the option. Then staff. Conduct decentralized purchases by the remaining business location and pay for procurement staff at all locations. Decentralize purchase. Centralize the purchasing function at the head office level. Excess staff due to centralization to be terminated. You can see, because no much operation in branch level, then we can centralize the purchasing, then whether we can reduce the cost. While looking at these information and options, you can evaluate and you have to rank those decision packages. Then evaluate and rank each activity decision packages. After the decision packages are completed, they are gathered up and ranked from the top to bottom within the procurement unit. The most suitable mutually exclusive packages are selected after conducting a cost benefit analysis. What we will do now, in this, for purchasing of clothes, there are three options. You will evaluate the benefit cost associated with all three options. Then evaluate and rank and select best one. Here there are 4 options. Evaluate all 4 options and select all activities are mutually exclusive. You have to select one. Select the best course of action. The staff cost, you have 2 activities. You have to evaluate out of these 2, select which one is most suitable. That is the way of making the zero based budgeting. That is, evaluate and rank the decision packages, and finally you have to allocate the resources based on the ranking. Clear? That is how zero based budgeting will operate. Clear? That is how zero based budgeting will operate. There are 3 steps. First, you have to identify the decision packages. Second, evaluate the decision packages and rank them. Final step, you have to allocate the resources based on ranking. Those are the 3 steps in zero based budgeting. That is, both question number 2 and 3 you need to just explain the concepts and theory backgrounds, right? Question number 2 and question number 3, both you need to explain only. There is no much computation involved. Now we will move to the next illustration, question number 4. Question number 4. This question number 4, this is relating to what? This is relating to decision tree. It's very important. This illustration is related to decision tree. Right. We will read this one, and this question coming under risk and uncertainty section. Decision tree is kind of a regularly testing area. It can be decision tree question, otherwise it can be tested together with project appraisal question, and it will be given some sensitivity analysis will be given under decision risk and uncertainty in decision making, right. Okay, we will read this illustration and see what, because it clearly says that evaluate the best course of action financially for the forthcoming quarter for EPL using a decision tree. You are advised to clearly show all possible outcomes in the decision tree with the relevant probabilities as applicable. You need to construct a decision tree, and we will see how are we going to do that, right. We will read the illustration and understand how are we going to tackle this illustration. Eco Villa Private Limited EPL is an eco hotel with 100 rooms. There are 100 rooms situated in Haputale. The COVID-19 pandemic affected and the business of hotel in the recent past. COVID-19 definitely during that period, Due to COVID-19 breakout, it has been significantly affected to the operation. Most of the hotels still they are facing some issues. With the recent relaxation of restriction and increase in momentum of tourist arrivals, the management of the hotel is optimistic about attracting more guests to the hotel. They are more optimistic to attract guests. However, the demand for rooms under the prevailing condition is uncertain. You don't know what would be the actual demand. The new COVID-19 variant Omicron, probably most of us already got it, Omicron, which is spreading rapidly in the country, is another negative factor affecting the hotel operation at present. Right. That condition is given. If spreading of Omicron variant could be controlled through vaccination, then the hotel has a chance of occupying 70% of the room night. If the Omicron being controlled, there will be 70% has a chance of occupying 70% of room night in the forthcoming quarter. There is only 60% likelihood of this variant being controlled through vaccination. Now there is a possibility you can control the virus through vaccination. The probability of success is 60, 40% probability there you will fail. Okay. In the case spreading cannot be controlled through vaccination, the occupancy could still be at 50% of the room night. If you fail to assume, if the government failed to control the Omicron virus, the occupancy rate will remain at 50%, right. If virus being controlled, occupancy will be 70%. If virus is not being controlled, occupancy will be 50%. There is a chance virus being controlled, 60% chance, 40% chance the virus not being controlled, right. Okay, next one, next one. As a measure of increase in demand for rooms, the management of EPL is also considering listing the hotel in either one of the following websites: Booking.com and TripAdvisor. That means currently you are not doing that one. Advertising, you are not, do not do any advertising. The second option, you can do advertising. You can select either of these websites, either TripAdvisor or Booking.com. Look at this one. Booking.com, commission rate on room rate 7%, TripAdvisor it is 5%. Occupancy rate, if virus is controlled, 95, if virus is not controlled, occupancy ratio for Booking.com will be 85%, right. Then TripAdvisor, occupancy rate, if virus is controlled, 90%, if it is not controlled, 75% room nights, okay. The regular rate per room night is 20,000, 30% of which is variable operational cost that include staff cost of food and staff, cost of food and staff. The commission payable to each website is also indicated in the table above, but it is not included in here, right. Monthly operational fixed cost is fixed, therefore it will not be impact on the contribution, therefore ignore it. The full capacity of the hotel is 3,000 room night during the period of 1 month, okay. For a particular 1 month, there will be 3,000 room night, 30 days into 100 room, 3,000 is the maximum capacity. You are the management accountant of EPL and you are required to advise management on the following. That means you have to construct a decision tree. Now we are going to construct a decision tree. Remember, when you are going to construct a decision tree, it always start with decision note, okay. I am moving to constructing a decision tree. Then we can realize how it will looks like, right. Okay. First, we are going to start with decision node. Decision node, we have to start with the decision node. Right. Now, what are the possible options available? What are the possible options? Current method, you are not advertising anymore. You are not advertising, right. You can run as it is, because control of virus is not in your hand. Currently, you are not advertising, or you have an option to advertise. There are two options. One is do not advertise. Okay, you can say I am not going to advertise. Do not advertise. Do not advertise. Do not advertise. The other option is to advertise. Other option is to advertise. Advertise. Sorry. Advertise. Do not advertise and advertise. Those are the two options available, right. Now, if you decide to advertise, if you are not advertise, right, that is the current arrangement, there is a possibility that the virus will be controlled. Then you have to introduce an outcome. In the suggested solution, it has included decision point, but it is not a decision point, it is an outcome point. There is a possibility Omicron will be controlled and not controlled, right. There are two options. Virus will be controlled, virus controlled. I will say virus controlled. Virus not controlled. Virus can be controlled or not controlled. Probability of controlling the virus is 60%. Then we will include probability of controlling the virus is 60%. I will say 0.6. Not control the virus is 0.4. Not control the virus is 0.4. Now, if virus is controlled, it says that there is a probability 70% of the occupancy will be there. Occupancy rate will be 70%, right. Then occupancy, total room nights available, how much? Total room night. Total room nights available 3000. 3000 room nights available. You can go back and see. Total room nights available 3000 room nights, right. 3000 room night. The price is 20,000 and variable cost 30%. And 70% is the contribution. The 20,000, 70%, then 20,000 into 20,000 into 70% mean contribution 14,000 is the contribution per room night, 14,000. Then occupancy ratio, it mentioned that occupancy ratio, if virus being controlled, will be 70%. Look at, if the variant being controlled through vaccination, the occupancy ratio will be 70%. Now, your contribution per room night is 14,000. We will work out. right? If virus is controlled, your occupancy is 70%, occupancy is 70%. Then we will calculate what is the contribution that you can earn. I will work out, okay, here I will work out the answer. Room night, you can charge 20,000. Room night, you can charge 20,000, right? Contribution 70%. Contribution 70%. 70%. Contribution 70%. That means 14,000 per room night. Okay, 14,000. I will say 14,000. 14,000. That is contribution. Then occupancy ratio 70%. Occupancy ratio, if virus is controlled, occupancy ratio 70%. Okay, first we will say 14,000 is the contribution per room night. Then total contribution, you can work out total contribution, you can work out 14,000. This is for per room night. Then 70% is the occupancy for a month. 3,000 into 70%, 2,100 nights. This one into 3,000 room nights available, out of that 70%. You can get the total contribution. If you work out, total contribution will be, give me a second, into 70%. 70%. Then you can calculate 14,000 into 3,000 into 70%, 29.4 million, right? If virus is controlled, your answer for this one, okay, 29.4 million. 29.4 million. If virus is controlled, you can get 29.4 million. If virus is not controlled, occupancy ratio will be 50%, right? Then I will work out if occupancy ratio 50% now. Now you have already know the contribution. Contribution is 14,000 per room night, 14,000 into 3,000 room nights, occupancy ratio 50%. Then take the answer. What would be the answer? 14,000 into 3,000 room night into 0.5 is, it should be 21 million. The answer should be 21 million. 21 million. Now you can easily take the expected value of this outcome. If you are not going to advertise, what is the expected value here? 29.4 million into 60% and 21 million into 40%. Then you can get the expected value, guys. What is the expected value? Okay, I will, don't know, you can see expected value. What is the expected value? Expected value you can calculate 29.4 into 0.6 plus 21 million into 0.4. then you can take the expected value. Expected value 29.4 into 0.6 plus 21 into 0.4, 26.04. 26.04 million is the expected value if you decide to continue with your current arrangement, do not advertise. Okay, if you decide to advertise, we will go back. If you decide to advertise, there are two websites. You have to select, you have to decide whether it is booking.com or TripAdvisor, right? You have to make a decision. That means you have to make a choice, you have to make a decision, then you have to introduce the decision note. Okay, here I have to introduce a decision point again, right? When you decide to advertise, you have to introduce a decision point. Decision point. When you are going to introduce the decision point, you have to make a two decision. You have to make a two decision. One is, okay, I will, give me a second. Right. When you have to decide whether it is you are going to advertise or not, right. I will write down like this, advertise. When you are going to advertise, you have to decide which method you are going to advertise, either booking.com or TripAdvisor. You have two options. One is booking.com, right? Other one is TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor. There are two options are there, right? Booking.com or TripAdvisor, you have to make a decision. Okay, if you go into booking.com, even the booking.com you applied, there is a situation where virus can be controlled or not. Some situation virus can be controlled or virus cannot be controlled. Okay. In a booking.com, now I am introducing an event node. There will be two situations. Virus controlled, virus not controlled. The controllability of virus is given how much? 60%. I will say 0.6. Not controlled 0.4. Right. Now this is booking.com. If you apply booking.com, you have to pay 7% commission rate. If you are paying a 7% commission, that means it's a variable cost. 20,000 is your selling price, variable cost 30% and another 7% commission, altogether it becomes 37%. Then you will end up with 63% as the net contribution if you go ahead with booking.com. Right. I will work out the contribution. Okay. Here, here 20,000 is the selling price. Selling price. Now, what is your contribution ratio? Here you have to booking.com, you have to pay 7% commission. 7% commission කියලා කියන්නේ 20,000 into 7%, 1,400 to be deducted. Earlier it is 14,000. Now 14,000 minus 1,400, 12,600. Simply earlier it is 70% is the contribution. Now it is 63% is the contribution. 63% contribution. 63% contribution. Right. Then you will receive an answer 12,600. 12,600 per room night. Occupancy ratio given 95% occupancy in the room night if virus is controlled. If virus controlled, occupancy ratio will be 95%. Okay. Okay, virus is controlled, you can get 12,600 per room night, total room night 3,000, occupancy ratio will be 95%. 95%. Occupancy ratio will be 95%. The answer should be how much? Answer. You can work out quickly. 12,600 into 3,000 into 95%. 35.91 million. $35.91 million. If virus is not controlled, occupancy ratio is 85% of room night. Now you are earning 12,600. I will work out it here. 12,600. 12,600. That is per room night. 3,000 is the total room nights available per month. Occupancy ratio will fall up to 85%. 85%. What is the answer? Answer will be 12,600 into 3,000 into 85%. 32.13 million. 32.13 million. Right. Now you have to calculate. If you apply booking.com, what is the expected value? 0.6 into 35.9. 35.91 million into 0.6 and 35.91 into 0.6, that is 21.546 plus 32.13 into 0.4, altogether expected value, you can get the expected value EV 34.398. 34.398 million for the booking.com. The expected value of booking.com is 34.398 million. Now we will move to the TripAdvisor. If the TripAdvisor, same thing, if virus is controlled and not controlled, and their contribution ratio will change. We have to pay only 5% commission, variable cost 30, 35% will be the variable cost, 65% will be the contribution. We will see it. Okay. If virus is controlled and not controlled, there are two scenarios. Virus controlled and virus not controlled. If virus is controlled, controllability of the virus is given 60%, 0.6, not control 0.4, right. That is the arrangement. Then if the virus is controlled, then virus is controlled. What is the contribution? Room night, contribution per room night 20,000, 20,000 is the price, into 30% is variable cost, and you have to, in TripAdvisor you have to pay 5% commission, 30 plus 5, 35% you have to pay contribution, variable cost. Contribution will be 65%. Then contribution per room night, if you apply TripAdvisor, 13,000 per room night. 13,000 per room night. Clear? It's given in the illustration itself. Now, if the virus is controlled, in a TripAdvisor you have a 90% occupancy, then 13,000 into 3,000 into 90%. You will get the answer then. Answer 13,000 into 3,000 into 90%, 35.1 million. 35.1 million. Right. Then virus is not controlled. There is a 75% occupancy rate will be there. Then you can easily calculate. 13,000 is the contribution per room night. 3,000 room nights available. Out of that, 85% will be the, not 85, it should be 75. It be 75, yes. 75%. If you work out it, 13,000 into 3,000 into 0.75, 29.25 million. 29.25 million. $29.25 million. Now you can easily calculate expected value here. 35.1 into 0.6. It is 21.6 million plus 29.25 into 40%. Then altogether 32.76 expected value. I will write down the expected value. 32.76 million. 32.76 million. Now you have to, what you have to do? Now we have to see, we'll further reduce. I think you can see all the option now. You can see all the option. Now here you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision, right? If you apply booking.com, there's expected value 34.398 million. If you apply tripadvisor.com, it will be 32.76 million. Now I will make a decision here. What I will make the decision? What is my decision? Out of these two, booking.com give you the highest expected value. I will, if I am going to advertise, I will select booking.com rather than TripAdvisor. Therefore, I will write it down it here. Select booking.com. Select booking.com. Booking.com. Expected value of your decision is 34.98 million. 34.98 million. Right. Finally, now final decision you have to make. Final decision. Whether you are not going to continue with the current arrangement, that means do not advertise, or whether you are going to advertise. If you do not advertise, value will be 26.04. If you decide to advertise through booking.com, you will get 34.98 million. The decision is very clear. Highest expected value give the advertise through booking.com. Then you will make your decision, final decision. You will make your final decision here. Advertise through booking.com. The expected value of your decision is 34.98 million. That is the final answer. That is the final answer. Advertise through booking.com. Right. Still, now I think you can see all the calculation. This is how question number 4 looks like. This is how it will be work out. In the suggested solution, they have introduced some decision point, but it is not required, because if virus is not controlled, there is no action to be taken. If virus controlled, there is no decision to be made, right? Therefore, if you are going to introduce a decision node, there should be a decision to be made. But here, this is the way of constructing this decision tree, and you have come up with the final solution. This is the correct way to construct it, right? Clear? That is question number 4. Constructing a decision tree. You have to construct it from left to right, that we will call forward pass. You have to work out it from right to left, that we will call backward pass method, right? That is question number 4 relating to decision tree. Right, that is question number 4. We can move to question number 5 thereafter. Question number 5, the last question of section 2. This is relating to working capital management. Okay, working capital management. We'll read. First, what it has to do? Assess the following for the above public fund account investment. Value of the initial investment made in the fund, right? And interest yield you have to calculate. Then they ask to calculate percentage of redemption yield if BPL decide to sell the funds the higher bidder. If you decide to sell the funds to the higher bidder, what is the yield to maturity rate they are asking? Yield to maturity rate. Okay. We have to calculate yield to maturity rate in this second situation. Third, explain 3 considerations that should have been taken into account by BPL before deciding invest into a private fund. Right. Okay. First, we will look at, we'll read the illustration. Premier Builders Private Limited handles mega infrastructure development projects for its various clients. Okay, you are going to handle this project for various clients. That's a construction company. Most of its project lasts for few years, and BPL usually collects considerable amount of the full construction cost in advance. You will collect the cash in advance, and soon after signing the agreement with the client. That means you will release the fund gradually when it is required. Till that you can keep invested somewhere else. These project funds are placed in a general pool, and the treasury manager invests the money in short-term financial instruments to be redeemed in future periods based on the yearly cash requirements for ongoing infrastructure projects. Right? They have invested in a fund, then you can earn additional return. When it is required, it will be liquidate and satisfy the funding requirement. PBL at the inception made 3-year investment in a public fund account, and maturity it should earn 20 million for the company. That means the face value. Okay. This investment was acquired 1 year ago by paying the market value. The annual coupon rate paid for the fund is 6%, and the market required rate of return is 12%. Now you have to see, coupon rate is lower than required rate of return. Definitely this bond or investment market price at that time should be less than face value. It is a discounted investment. Because your required rate return is 12, it will give a coupon rate. Coupon rate means interest will be computed on the face value. 20 million, if it is 20 million, you will receive 6% from the 20 million, right? That is the arrangement. BPL has faced some challenges in recovering another private fund investment, which is due now, right? This investment was placed to bear the sheer construction cost. The management has serious concern on its ability to recover the investment in the private fund. Now, they are facing problem. Now, fund is not able to redeem your money. That means liquidity problem might arise, right? However, as an immediate action, it was decided to withdraw the public fund investment now. You have a public fund investment. The best score received is 17.5 million. Because now you want money, 2 years they are to maturity, remaining period to maturity, but prior to that you want to release the funds. Now the bid you have received is only 17.5 million. What they asked to do? Assess the following above public fund account investment value of the initial investment made in the fund. This kind of bond valuation, in a bond valuation, bond consists of 2 types of payment. Yearly we will receive the coupon interest, and subsequently we will receive the redemption price. When you are going to calculate value of bond, then you have to discount present value of future cash flows by using your required rate of return. Okay, this instance we will work out that one and see how are we going to deal with this scenario. Okay. First, I will summarize basic information. Face value. Face value 20 million. Coupon rate 6%. Coupon rate 6%. Required rate of return 12%. Term to maturity. Maturity 3 years. Term to maturity 3 years. Those information are available, right? face value 20 million, coupon rate 6%, required rate of return 12%, right. When you are going to calculate the value of a bond, okay, I will say value of a bond, it includes two types of payment, interest and redemption price, that is the face value. Therefore, it should be present value of coupon interest, coupon interest. You will receive present value of coupon interest plus present value of face value or redemption price, redemption price. Redemption price. That is how it will work out. Present value of coupon interest plus present value of redemption price. Okay. Okay. Now I am going to work out. Now you will coupon interest. Each year you will 20 million into 6%, 1.2 million each year you will receive. 1.2 million over 3 years. Therefore, 1.2 million over 3 years mean it is an annuity. Then you have to calculate the annuity factor. Your required rate of return is 12%. Okay, now I am going to work out it. Okay. Interest 6% over 12 million, it is 1.2 million, or you can write it down 1.2 as it is. 1,200,000. That is the interest per annum. It will be received over a period of 3 years. Therefore, annuity factor 1 minus 1 plus r power minus n divided by r. R mean your required rate of return plus redemption price, that is 20 million is the redemption price. 20 million. 20 million into 1 plus r power minus n. Right. Then here 1.2 million into 1 minus 1 plus r is 12%, 1.12 n, number of period 3 years, 3 years, divide by 0.12, that is an annuity factor, plus 20 million, present value of 20 million is the redemption price. After 3 years it will be redeemed. Therefore, 20 million into 1.12, that is required rate of return is 12%, power minus 3. If you work out the present values, then you will get the exact value of at that time when you purchase this bond, the amount you have paid. You can take the present value of interest and present value of redemption price. Present value of interest you can quickly work it out. 1.12 power minus 3, 1 minus answer divide by 0.12 into 1.2 million. It is 2,882,198. 2,882,198 plus 20 million into 1.12 power minus 3, that is 14,235,605. 605. Then you will receive the answer. Receive the final answer. 2,882,198 plus 14,235,605, 17,117,803. This is the price you paid to purchase this one. This is the amount you pay. At the time of acquisition, you have paid how much? 17,117,803, because your required rate of return is 12%, the fund offer at 6%. Assume if your required rate of return is less than 6, this value is greater than 20. If your required rate of return equal to the coupon rate, you expect 6%, they also give 6%. This value will become 20 million. That is the value, the way of doing bond valuation or fixed income security valuation you have to learn about. Therefore, now this is a kind of discounted arrangement. In order to earn 12% return, you will purchase this investment at 17 million, right. Now, the second part they ask, okay, we will go back and see the second requirement, interest yield. What is your interest yield? Annually you will receive 1.2 million, amount you have invested, right, amount you have invested is 17,117,803. That is the amount you have invested. Out of that, what is the amount at that time market price? That is the market price you have already know. This is the market price at that time. Annual interest is 1.2 million. If you calculate interest yield, if you want to calculate interest yield will be interest yield equal gross interest divide by market value of the investment into 100. Gross interest you will get 1.2 million. Market value of the investment at the time of acquisition 17,117,803 as a percentage. Your interest yield will be 7.01, average 7.01. This is your gross interest yield. Interest yield 7.01. That is the answer for second question. Okay, we will see the next one, part B. Calculate the percentage of redemption yield if BPL decide to sell the fund to the higher bidder. Higher bidder is 17.5, right. Now, remaining period to maturity is only 2 years. This fund only will give 6% return, 1.2 million over next 2 years. Now, you have to calculate IRR formula, IRR method in order to identify what is the redemption yield, right, in order to calculate the redemption yield. Therefore, now first we will look at, assume the rate is assume 12%, your rate is 12%, what is the price, present value of future outflow? The market price given 17.5 million, right. If it is lower or greater than, then we can decide the next rate we have to decide. Okay, then now we are going to calculate the yield to maturity. Remember the offer price 17.5, what is the rate which your present value of future inflows equal to 17.5 million. You have to work out. Okay, now you know the basic information, face value 20 million, coupon rate 6%. Now you need to decide what is the required rate of return. Okay, that is yield to maturity. We will calculate. We will go back to the computation. Now remaining period, now 1 year ago you have invested, remaining period to maturity is only 2 years, right. I will move to another page. Now interest no, I will take, assume if required rate of return equal to 12%. Now remaining period to maturity only 2 years. Therefore, value of bond we will calculate. Value of bond, if we decide to hold this bond, if you decide to hold this bond, what is the value? 1.2 million you will collect each year, 1.2 million each year, right. 1 minus 1.12 power minus 2, only for 2 years remaining available, 0.12 plus at the end you will collect 20 million, 1.12 power minus 2. Calculate the present value of, if your required rate of return is 12%. 1.12 power minus 2, 1 minus answer divided by 0.12 into 1.2 million. $2,28,061 plus 15,943,878. It is 17,971,939. If your required rate of return is 12%, if you hold this investment, you can collect 17.971 million. Then you will sacrifice how much? 17.5 million you have to sacrifice, because you have an offer, you can redeem your investment at 17.5 million. In this juncture, if you calculate the NPV, we will calculate the NPV equal 17,971,939 if we decide to collect our own, right, minus, then we have to forget, right, we have to forget the income, the redemption price. Now you can sell this one at 17.5 million. 17.5 million. There is a positive NPV around 471,939. It is a positive NPV 471,939 if your required rate of return is 12%. That means the rate which equal to 17.5 million should be greater than 12%, because if it is 12 or less, definitely you won't sell it. Now you want to sell, then at which point which the present value of future cash flows is equal to 17.5. At 12% it is 17.9. Definitely it should be go beyond 12%. We will take 15%, because definitely it should be fall in, we have to see, anyway it should go beyond 12% definitely. Then I will calculate, if required rate of return is 15%, what is the NPV or present value of future cash flows? Okay, we will do that. Okay, I will write, we will work out if required rate of return equal to 15%, equal to 15%. If required rate of return equal to 15%, what can we do? Value of bond 1.2 million there into 1 minus 1 plus R 1.15 15 power minus 2 divided by 0.15 plus present value of 20 million into 1.15 power minus 2. You can take the present value here. At 15%, what is the present value? 1.2 million, 1.15 power minus 2 minus answer divided by 0.15 into 1.2 million. 1,950,851 plus present value of this 20 million 1.15 power minus 2 into 20. 15,122,873. Now we can take the total. Total 17,73,724. If your required rate of return is 15%, the present value of receipt only 17,73,000. Sorry, 17,073,000. But if you sell it now, you can collect 17.5 million. That means you are losing. If your required rate of return is 15%, you can collect less than 17.5. Then we will calculate NPV. NPV 17,073,724 minus, then you have to forego 17.5 million. 17.5 million. NPV, it will be a negative figure. We will take 17,073,724 minus 17.5 million. It is 426,276. It is a negative NPV. Negative NPV, right? Negative NPV. Now you can see when the rate is 12%, right? Rate is 12%, NPV 471,000. When the rate is 15%, NPV is negative 426. Now you know that the rate which present value equal to 17.5 million, that means 0, will in between 12 and 15. Now you can use IRR formula to determine the rate, yield to maturity rate, which equal to 17.5 million present value. Then I will work out, okay, you have the information, I will work out here IRR formula. IRR, lower rate plus NPV at lower rate divide by NPV at lower rate minus NPV at higher rate into higher rate minus lower rate. This is the formula, right? Lower rate above them 12% is the lower rate plus NPV at lower rate we have already determined. You can see NPV at lower rate is 471,939. We'll write it down. 471,939 divided by 471,939 minus NPV. NPV is negative 426,276, right. $426,276, it is negative, into higher rate is 15%, lower rate is 12%. Now work out what is the IRR rate. It is 13.576, 13.576%. I will say 13.6. Average I will say 13.576. Exact figure should be 13.6. I will say 13.6. If your cost of capital, yield to maturity rate is 13.6, 13.6 mean if your cost of capital rate equal to 13.6, right, 13.6, 13.6, the present value of future cash flows will equal to 17.5 million. The price, your required rate of return become 13.6. If that under that rate, you will agree for 17.5 million. Therefore, your yield to maturity rate is 13.6. That is the answer for part B. Answer for part B. Okay, we will go back and see the last one. Explain 3 considerations that should have been taken into account by PBL before deciding to invest in a private fund. Now you have redeemed the public fund. Private fund you have invested, there is a problem in liquidity. Mainly you have to look at about, when you are going to invest in a private fund, you have to look at about their liquidity, their risk associated with that one, and their risk grading and the interest rate they are offering. You have to consider. We will look at the answer. Okay. We have done this one. This is the computation already we have done. Okay. PBL invests excess money in short-term financial instrument. The ability to recover it once the investment period elapses is mandatory. That is, the liquidity of the fund is mandatory. That is a key consideration. If it is fund is not liquid, then it is a problem, right? It is critical. Liquidity of the private fund, it is main consideration. Second one is the profitability for the risk you incurred. If you are getting a higher risk, you should be able to earn a higher return. If you are bearing a higher risk, if you are earning a lower return, then it is not matched. That is, you have to consider. Risk is not being able to recover the investment. If it is not possible to recover an investment immediately, full or part of the capital investment. Riskiness. Sorry. Then consider the nature of the interest rate committed, fixed or floating. If it is fixed or floating, sorry, fixed or floating, you have to consider, because some situation the fixed interest rate is more favorable, some situation where the floating interest rate is favorable. Now, the current situation, now it is preferred to have a fixed interest rate. If the interest rate now at the peak, if it is coming down, then you will lose. Therefore, better if you keep it fixed now, then you can, if for the deposits, then you can earn a higher return. The next one, term to maturity. It is very important whether when you require the fund, you have to keep, if you have to assume within next 2 years you require the funds, your investment should not greater than 2 years, it should be close to 1.5 years or 2 years maximum. Therefore, term to maturity also to be considered. Those are the facts you have to consider before making any investment. One, liquidity, profitability, risk and term to maturity. Main 4 factors I am telling you. First one, liquidity, then profitability, risk and term to maturity, right. And interest rate also, there are 5 factors. Those are the factors before you going to invest in a fund, you have to keep in mind. Okay, that is the end of 5th question, that is the end of section 2. All 4 questions we have done, each question being allocated 10 marks, 10 into 4, 40 marks being allocated. All 4 questions you can go through. First 2 questions, remember those are kind of theory explanation about the concept explanation. The next one is decision tree, and last question, question number 5, this was discussed on the working capital management. Okay, after the section 2, 60% of the paper is being completed. Now balance 2 question, question number 6 and 7 to be discussed in the section 3 in the next